What up, guys? Thank you so much for joining me for Talk About It Tuesday. I was having a little technical difficulty, so I'm a little late today. Um, I have been super busy and all over the place these days, and so it's been a real struggle for me to do Talk About It Tuesday. Hopefully, you guys can still hear me. I put my earpiece in. However, I am still persistent. And so I wanted to come on and just drop a little nugget about self discipline. So we launched Talk About It Tuesdays during Mental Health Awareness Month and wanted to keep it going. I think it's really important to just talk about everyday things that impact us, that impact our mental and emotional health. And so, we've been doing this for a few weeks. I decided instead of doing every Tuesday that I would do 2 Tuesdays out of the month just because my work day tends to get hectic. So I appreciate all of you guys who have been tuning in and who have been listening to the podcast. And so today I wanted to talk about 5 ways to master self discipline. And so, just giving you quick tips, some of the things that I talk about and Talk About It Tuesdays are things that I personally am trying to work on. Sometimes it's things that come up in me, after having a conversation with a friend or with my husband. And so anytime I do Talk About It Tuesdays, I try to make it relevant to something that's going on in my life or the world around me. And so I feel like a lot of people struggle with self discipline. I know after the new year, a lot of people always set resolutions or goals. And then about this time, sometime around summertime, we fall off from being able to walk those goals out or fully see those resolutions through. And so, one of my goals is always about becoming more disciplined so that I can be consistent and just really holding myself accountable to whatever goals I've set. And so, today I want to give you 5 ways that you can really master self discipline. The first one is identifying your weakness. I know with me, I've talked a lot about being a person that has a type A personality and being an overachiever, and so sometimes I can put more on my plate than I can realistically juggle, just because I'm a working mom. Me and my husband own a business. I am a wife. I have 3 kids. I own a house. I have a dog. Man, let me tell you, I'm not a dog lover, okay? And somebody should have told me when you got a puppy, you were basically having a new baby, because having a puppy has been a real challenge. So with all these things going on in my life, it's very hard for me sometimes to manage all the tasks I take on myself. Excuse me, y'all. I decided to Talk About It Tuesday in my office. I forgot to tell my hair calm down. So, the first tip to mastering self discipline is knowing your weakness, identifying areas where you know that you're struggling or you're not as strong. The second tip is about setting clear goals and a plan to execute those goals. I think sometimes we venture down roads that we don't really know where the end of that road is. But very few times do any of us get in our car and drive and just say, you know what, I want to go get groceries. I don't know what store I'm going to go to. I'm just going to drive this street, and whatever grocery store I come to, that's the one I'm going to get groceries. No. Goals are like that. You can't say, hey, I know I want to do better with money, and not actually set a goal with how much money you want to save or what habits you want to eliminate. So anytime you're trying to become more disciplined, set a goal. And I like setting SMART goals. As a therapist, whenever I'm doing treatment plans or working with clients in therapy, you have to have something, some way of measuring or seeing progress when you set a goal. So I like setting a SMART goal. That means that the goal is specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's realistic, and there's a specific time. so it's timed. And so whenever you have a goal and you're putting together a plan to implement that goal, it needs to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and it needs to have a specific timeline. Create new habits and keep it simple. So whenever you are trying to master self-discipline and create a positive habit, it's important that you make it as simple as possible. So KISS, keep it simple, stupid. I think a lot of times someone like me will overcomplicate trying to set a new behavior. Like I'm really, 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 really trying to change the way I eat and make a lifestyle change. And it's very difficult because it requires some planning on my behalf. It requires some meal prep. It requires for me keeping things on hand. So when I'm hungry and I'm not in a position to eat lunch, that I have healthy snacks. And I'm just be honest, that ain't always working out for me. However, it's a process. And so whenever you start with trying to change a bad habit or create a new habit, you want to keep it as simple as possible. For me right now, instead of me trying to like eliminate meat and eat vegetables and drink more water, I just decided, you know what, my goal is to cook more at home and cook more balanced meals. I tried by sitting down and just planning before I go to the grocery store. So if I can continue to do that, I'm not necessarily eliminating all the foods I desire to eliminate, but I've seen a reduction in me eating things that are not necessarily good for my diet or good for my body, because my body now that I'm like closer to 40 is really just not feeling eating certain things. And so I found with me just being disciplined to cook breakfast and to bring a lunch to work instead of eating out, I'm making better food choices. And so me developing new healthy eating habits is just really keeping it simple, focusing on planning what I'm going to cook and actually following through with that. And when I plan, I try to plan for more balanced meals. So the first one, know your weakness. Second one, set clear goal and execute a plan. The third one is to create a new habit. You want to keep it simple. And then the fourth one is give yourself a backup plan. So whenever you know that you have an area of weakness. No, so I'm on 5 because I said know your weakness. Let me start over. Yeah, know your weakness. Set clear goals. I'm on 4. Create a new habit and keep it simple. So on 4, give yourself a backup plan. See, this is why I should have numbered my notes. I didn't number my notes. Whenever you create a plan and you've looked at your weaknesses, your areas of weaknesses, if you know that you have a tendency to fall off, give yourself a plan A and a plan B, right? In the event something comes up that throws your plan off, or you just don't follow through, then how can you recover? How can you veer yourself back on the road that you're going to get on? Like, people don't make freeways without side streets, right? Like when we plan infrastructure for cities, there's always alternative routes, right? In the event that there's an accident, or in the event that this street is closed, there's some type of road work, there's always a detour or alternative route. And a lot of times when we set goals, we don't give ourselves that. We don't give ourselves detours or backup plans or alternative routes. So it's important when you are making a goal to have a plan A and a plan B, just in case. And the last one is reward yourself. Whenever you do a good job, treat yourself. You should always build in times, or build in to whatever you do, time or money or space to reward yourself for following through. Because if you don't, you'll get discouraged. If you put yourself in this little box and everything's so rigid, your goals are rigid, your diet is rigid, you're less likely to be successful in following through with whatever habit you're trying to create or with whatever goal you're trying to attain, if you don't put into your schedule or into your routine or into your finances a reward system. So, becoming more disciplined and holding yourself accountable to self is very, very challenging. But a lot of people do it. I've seen so many people lose weight, or people reach financial goals where they move from an apartment to a house, or you know, they people purchase new cars. Whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish in your life, where in whatever area you're trying to become more self-disciplined, if you do those 5 things, you'll see change. You will see that you'll get way further and probably have less setbacks. But if you have a setback in whatever you're trying to accomplish, it's okay. You also got to give yourself some room to make some mistakes. So that's my Talk About It Tuesday. I am forging a path to being more self-disciplined. I am forging a path to being more consistent. Talk About It Tuesdays, I literally had to let it go for like a few weeks just because we're trying to sell a house and things have been really busy at work, and got things going on with the kids and vacations and family reunions, and I was like, you know what, this is real hard, but I'm back at it. And then, like I said, instead of doing every Tuesday, we have moved to 2 Tuesdays a month. So I created an event. Put it in your calendar. Talk About It Tuesdays was today. The next Talk About It Tuesdays will be August 27th. Our podcast drops every Friday at 7 a.m. Living the Stress Life. The last 2 podcasts we did was talking about overcommitment or undercommitment. Last week's podcast focused on learning to accept things that you can't control. Talked a little bit about the serenity prayer. So check us out at Living the Stress Life on Facebook and Instagram. Please share the video if it was helpful to you. Give me feedback. Until next time, y'all, live your best life. Living through your stress life. Holla.